Hey, everybody. Two quick announcements before the episode starts today. One, the first ever Patreon exclusive episode of Retold is live now. Yay! That is on patreon.com/Retold podcast if you want to check that out. On that episode, Jesse and I talk about our likes and dislikes of the Cursed Child play. We just saw that live in Atlanta. It was a wonderful experience. So check out that episode if you want to hear what we thought about it, because we do have a lot of good things to say about it. I know people usually just say bad things about the Cursed Child play, but we were able to say a few good things about it as well. Also, every single month on that Patreon, we will do two bonus episodes, one where we recap the Hogwarts mystery plotline, and then another bonus Potter discussion. Again, that is on patreon.com/Retold podcast if you want to support it. But you can also just support this channel just by liking this video, sharing it with a friend, leaving a comment or review. That goes a long way, and I appreciate it so very much. The other announcement is that in this Best of Book 4 episode, it is a part 1 of 2 parts. Our discussion with Professor Julian and Stephaniespensieve went a good bit long, so I broke it up into 2 parts, and this week you'll get part 1, next week part 2. But anyway, enjoy the show.
He's more than an athlete. He's an artist.
I think you're in love, Ron.
Shut up.
Victor, I love you. Victor, I do.
When we're apart, my heart beats only.
Harry Potter!
Hey, my eyes aren't glistening with the ghost of my past.
I'm not an owl.
Technically, it's a fact.
Ah, c'est magnifique. Dragon!
Kill the stag.
Avada Kedavra! Barty Crouch!
Behaving like a babbling, bumbling band of baboons.
Junior.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to Retold, the podcast where I retell you my favorite story of all time, Harry Potter. And today, we are recapping the best of Book 4, Goblet of Fire. Yay! So it's a little bit different than normal listeners, where instead of retelling you the chapters and what happened, me and my 2 wonderful co-hosts, which you'll meet in just a second, we'll recap our favorite things about Book 4. We will finish the Quizzitch competition, see who comes out on top this year or this season. We'll do our top 5 favorite lines of the book. We'll do our favorite chapter, best and worst transfiguration, favorite magical creature, item, or spell, favorite character, and one last little special note to end on. That sounds like a lot, Barry. I know. You're welcome, listeners. You're in for a treat today. All right. You can play this episode over the whole course of a week and still not get enough. But I never take this journey alone. I always have with me some very special guests. And with me this week, I am joined by Stephaniespensieve and Professor Julian. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Well, listeners, if you remember, if you've ever heard a best of episode before, I always invite back people who were on that particular season. And it's been a minute since Julian and Stephanie were on, but in case you've forgotten, they were wonderful guests. They actually did their episodes back to back. I think Stephanie was at episode 2 of this season and Julian was episode 3. All right. My wife was episode 1 because she's always first.
Nice.
But you guys were number 2 and 3. You were right there. And so let's just let the listeners get reacquainted with you guys. Who are you guys? What do you do? Let's start with Stephanie, because she's next on my screen.
Gosh. Okay. Stephanie from Stephaniespensieve on Instagram. Your local diehard Harry Potter fan and tattoo enthusiast.
Have you gotten any new ones since the last episode?
I think 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got 2 more coming up this summer. So
What 2 are you going to get?
one of them I still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely undecided, but
But you want one.
this year I do. I just
Yeah.
don't know what. But for my husband and I's anniversary, we're doing the Unbreakable Vow. So we're gonna
Aw.
have the lines twining around our arms.
That's kind of clever. I like
I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I love
I gotta
that.
brand him in any way that I can.
And if the listeners want to find you, where can they find you?
Stephaniespensieve on Instagram and TikTok.
Very cool. Check that out, listeners. She's wonderful. I was telling my wife before the episode, I was like, you know, I'm so jealous of her page because it has
Uh,
the coolest aesthetic. Like
oh, thank you.
the way you post and the look of your page just looks so cool.
Thank you.
So good taste.
Awesome.
And Professor Julian,
We're
who are
back.
you?
I am Professor Julian Womble, prof.jw on Instagram, prof W on TikTok.
Hard to
And
remember all those.
I'm just, they wouldn't let me have prof W on TikTok, and I was very upset. So now, I mean, on Instagram, so now I have to, anyways, it's a whole thing, friends. But I also am the host of Critical Magic Theory, an analytical Harry Potter podcast, which is available wherever you cast your pods. So, yeah, you can find me there.
That's right. Very cool. And so I'd recommend you check out that podcast, listeners. I enjoy the banter you have with your listeners as far as like the things that they message in. And you are a braver man than I, because like when people send me criticisms, I try to be as amicable as possible. Not to say that you don't. I think it's because
Sometimes
you're
I
very
don't.
friendly with your listeners. But when I listen, sometimes like the level of sass on your podcast is through the roof.
Yeah. But I feel like everyone's just following my lead because I also bring a lot of sass to the
That's right.
situation. And so as a result, and I love it because I think everyone is very passionate about this. And I also know that people love correcting me when I get things wrong. And so sometimes I leave low-hanging fruit because it just means that people will pay that much more attention so that they can correct me.
Interesting.
And I always have such a blast because I think it's just really funny when people get mad at me because I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. And so, yeah, it's always so much fun. But there are some very sassy people who let me know when they are not pleased with whatever I've said. But I also always know when the take is hot, I'm like, people are going to be very mad. And I love that.
That's funny. Yeah, I messaged you the other day, but like I was so just tickled. I had my very first post get like thousands and thousands of views. It was one I did with Brett, and it was really funny because I mentioned it to my students at youth group, and I was like, yeah, I had a post get 150,000 views. And they're like, that's so cool, Barry. My last TikTok got 4 million. And I was like, well, you didn't
not
need
fair.
to say that.
Yeah. Okay,
all right.
great. Yeah. This isn't about you now.
Yeah.
We're talking about me.
But in that post, all it was Brett making a silly point about a plot hole in Harry Potter. And the comments were crazy. Some of them were fun. Some of them were people being kind and silly and playful. But others were like, you idiots have never read the books. What the heck are you talking about? I'm like, how did we? It's
They
just being
love-
silly over here.
They love a you've
It
never
is
read the books.
brutal.
Mhm.
They love a you never read the books. And I've just gotten to a place now where I will just be like, you're right. I made it up. Like, I've never read the books in my whole life. And my entire platform is just me just faking it. And
I just saw a picture of a movie poster of Harry Potter and thought, this is what happened. So I just
this is
ran with it.
and I know absolutely nothing. And it just so happens that when I ask you for clarification, you also don't know anything. So I guess we're in this together.
Yay.
Yeah.
I will say the vibes of Julian's podcast are not like what I just described. They're much more like siblings being sassy with each
sure.
other
Oh,
than it is just
absolutely.
strangers being buttholes.
Oh, no.
Oh, it gets ugly. I've had some posts go viral in the comment section. It's just people tearing each other apart, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's not that serious, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone relax. We're talking about a boy with a scar on his head. Like, everyone chill out.
We're just
People
having
think it-
fun over here.
Yeah. But people, a post that I just had go viral, and people were very mad. And the thing is that because of what I do for a living and because I teach, I'm like, if I can get you to think about this even more than you did before, so much so that you're just writing in the comments, I did my job. And
There you
so
go.
I'm always like, go off. Like,
Consider
be
it.
so
Use some
mad.
thinking. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you thought more about this than you probably ever have, and that means I did it. So, bye.
I love that. I love that. Well, listeners, that's Stephanie and Julian. If you forgot them, you are now reacquainted, best of friends, long time no see. So happy to get to see him again. But let's get started now with our best of book 4 coverage. And before I continue any further, I always do that on this podcast where I'm like, let's get started. Wait, hold on. Let me say this real quick. But the thing I want to say, listeners, it is so special and amazing to have these two on this episode because I ask a lot with a best of episode. Like it's not like a normal episode I feel where it's just, hey, can you read these 2 chapters, take some notes, come up with some questions and let's talk back and forth, which is not a small thing itself either. That's also a big ask. But this one is like, you heard the topics at the beginning. And so I'm just so grateful, and I hope you guys are too, that Stephanie and Julian have taken so much time out of their day to invest in and make this episode wonderful and come up with all these answers and questions and responses. So shout out to Julie and Stephanie. We love them. Check out their pages on the socials. But moving forward now, the first thing we will do is we've got to wrap up the Quizzitch competition for book 4. All right. And it's been tight all book, as it usually has. But the only time it really got away from me was in book 2, but I did crawl back kind of. But it's really close this time. In the very last episode, I've been losing most of the second half of this season. But in the very last episode, I took the lead again, and I am up by 1.5 points. Okay. We do half points on this podcast. Based on the quality of answer, show your work. All right. It could happen. But I'm up by 1.5 points. And you know how it goes, listeners. When I have 2 guests, I will ask them 2 questions. They will ask me 2 questions each. And then we'll see who won book 4. I won book 1, lost book 2, lost book 3. And let's see if I can regain the title or if the world stays on top. All right.
No pressure.
Let's get it started. Julian, ask me your first question, pretty please.
Okay. Name 3 Death Eaters who weren't in the graveyard when Voldemort came back.
Okay. Who weren't in the graveyard. You got a question. Do they have to still be Death Eaters, or could they have changed their allegiance?
Well, this is a good question. They're still Death Eaters.
Still Death Eaters.
Plot twist. Wait, hold on. Run it back. Well, actually, technically, okay, we're gonna go with what I originally said. Okay, yeah, they're still technically Death Eaters. Yes,
still technically Death Eaters. Okay, so you got Barty Crouch Jr.
Mm-hmm.
You got and then you got Bellatrix and Rudolphus Lestrange.
Nice.
Yes.
You left a couple out.
I did leave a couple out, but I only had to say 3.
It's true. And I was going to do all of them, but then I was like, do I remember all of them? So then I decided
well, because I thought, there's also Karkaroff and Snape, but I wouldn't call them Death Eaters anymore because Karkaroff runs away and Snape is a double agent.
But technically he's still a Death Eater, right? Like he's still that was the one technicality that I was like, I think Karkaroff, yes, I think.
Okay. And
the other question becomes, and maybe this is a conversation to be had, like, do you ever stop fully being a Death Eater, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's no really getting out. Like, he doesn't.
Unless you're dead.
Yeah, death is the only way. That's it.
That's fair. Well, I mean, I did name 2 more. So
You did it. You nailed it. Nailed it.
Yay. All right. So your question. So the funniest Quizzitch moment of the whole season, to me, in my opinion, was when you were on, Julian, and I hyped you up so much. And I
got
went,
everything wrong.
he is a professor, listeners. He's an expert. He knows his stuff. And then I asked you the first question, and it's really funny. If you watch the video, you went, like your eyes got so huge. You went, what? But here's the thing. All right. We believe in redemption.
I'm glad you do.
I have the very same question that I asked you on that episode.
No.
So here's my thought. It's a difficult question, but you've already been asked it. So that makes it okay.
We're hoping that I recall. A lot of time has passed. Okay, let's see. We'll see what we've got.
What is the name of Ludo Bagman's brother?
This is awful. This is terrible.
He seems more contemplative this time.
Yeah, because I remember the question and I remember thinking, I do not know. Listeners, do you see what happens? I'm terrible at trivia just in general. Yeah, no, I want to say that it starts with an L just because everything's alliterative in the Harry Potter universe, but what that actually means in terms of like, I'm like, Lloyd is the first thing that comes to mind, but that's
Lloyd's a
way too
great
normal.
name.
It is a great name, but it's not the name I know. I don't know. I failed you again.
That's all right. The answer, listeners, is Otto. Otto Bagman. Ding, ding, ding.
Nope. I need now.
It doesn't stick. Like that name just doesn't stick
No.
out.
And I know that, Barry, I'm a butthole. All right, that's a terrible question, but I thought it was fair because
I
asked it
appreciate the
before.
second chance. No, I think it's important that we do offer second chances, and sometimes people just fail multiple times. Like
And you know
Voldemort
what?
failed
People can
to kill
disappoint
Harry.
you again and again and again.
It's me on people.
Stephanie, what's your question?
Okay. How many points did Harry get for fighting the dragon? Total.
Yes, great question. Okay. Because I remember Karkaroff was ticked
okay.
off at his. I'm going to say 38.
40.
Oh, I wanted to say 40, but I didn't, listeners, so it doesn't even matter. All right, I got it wrong. Oh, okay. 40 points total. All right. Let's see. Your question,
Oh boy.
Stephanie, is I'm looking at my list. What do I want to do? There's a moment in this chapter, in this book. It's my most hated Snape moment when Hermione's teeth get hit with Diswinjo. I don't know how you say it. Teeth, all that stuff. And they get really big. But at the same time, Goyle also gets hit with a spell. Can you name either the spell or what it does?
Crap.
It's my least favorite moment probably in the whole book because Snape then looks at Hermione and says, I don't notice a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, see no difference.
Oh. I know it has something to do with his body proportions. I just can't remember what it is.
That's okay. If you get it wrong, I'm sure nobody will be unhappy. And in fact, I'll be happy. It's win-win. Either you get it right and you're happy, or you get it wrong and I'm happy.
Someone's happy at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, Barry, I don't remember.
It creates boils, and the spell is Furnunculus. Furnunculus.
Okay.
All right. So it's 1-0 right now on this particular episode.
Yeah,
we're doing.
You're nailing it.
Not too bad so far. Julian, what is your next question?
Okay. I was gonna ask one question, but then I realized that
I'm a jerk.
No. But no. But,
the shoe fits.
That you were asked this question before, and so then I said we're not gonna do it again. And it was a question about the different things that Harry encounters in the maze, in the books, not in the movie. But so then my second question is, what is the order of the 4 champions when they complete the second task?
When they complete the second task? So my question.
Who comes out first? First, second, third,
very good.
Fourth.
I was going to clarify of their overall standing or just the way they come out. So that
just out of that particular task.
So the first one to come out is Cedric Diggory.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no. The first one is Fleur. Fleur comes out, but she has failed. She doesn't have her champion. She doesn't have her person. So Fleur comes out first. Then it's Cedric. Then it's Crumb. Then it's Harry.
Justice for Fleur. That's correct, by the way.
Justice for Fleur. You had an episode about that recently, didn't you?
Yeah, where I ranted and raved about how she was done so dirty in these books and how she should have at least won one task because it's absurd that she got in trouble for wearing a skirt. Anyways, like we won't go down that rabbit
I'll tell you
hole.
what, though, it's a bit of a spoiler for later in the series, but one of my favorite lines in the whole Harry Potter series is when her man's all scarred up and people think she's not going to
Yes.
want to be with him anymore. And she goes, "What do I care? I'm beautiful enough for the both of us." Like,
Yes.
oh, I
Go
love that.
for it. Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, no. And then she's
Uh,
like, "Give me that sponge." Like, that's right,
That's
girl.
right.
Take care
That's
of your
right.
man.
Okay,
That
so
was correct.
your question then, Julian,
Yeah,
is
this is
can
gonna
you
end well.
name one, just one, of the passwords used for the Gryffindor common room this year?
Oh, isn't abstinence one of them?
No, but I'll give you another
Shoot.
guess.
That's Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, because I was like, I know she got drunk, and I was like, I love her for that. Good for you, girl. But I couldn't remember if it was shoot. No. No, because I think that's also Half-Blood Prince. Because I know one year it's Fairy Lights, but I can't remember if that's in this book or not. No, I can't remember. These are not the things that my brain holds on
I will
to.
give you half a point because Fairy Lights is correct. Fairy Lights
Oh.
is one of
Oh, was it?
one of the answers. That's correct. Yeah, because she's drunk in this one too.
Okay.
She says it's Fairy Lights. So there you
Okay.
go.
So the fat lady has a drinking problem,
She
and
has a drinking
I just and I got them mixed up because it turns out that this is a pattern. And okay, well
Yay.
then that
Good job,
great.
Julian.
Thanks, I did it, y'all. We did it, Joe.
Stephanie, what is your
Yeah.
question?
See, now I have no remorse about this one.
Go for it. Hurt me.
When Harry sees Dobby in the kitchen for the first time, Dobby is wearing a tie patterned with what?
Okay. If I ask for a clarification, can I just go for a half point? Okay. There's times that he wears something that's like a pattern with objects, and other times it's like a regular dress pattern, like a checkered pattern or something. Can you tell me if it's one of those two?
It'd be an object.
An object. Okay. Does it have golden snitches on it?
No.
No. Polka dots?
No.
All right, that's the other one. I'm wrong. What is the answer?
Horseshoes.
Horseshoes. Oh, daggum. That is a hard one.
Have no remorse, Julian.
That's
No,
okay.
you shouldn't. No.
Harry.
Hurt me. I deserve it. All right. Your question, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Why so down?
Revenge
We're
comes
having
so
fun.
swiftly.
We're having fun. All right. Every single task takes place on the same day of the month.
Mm.
What day of the month is that?
Friday.
That's like a number day.
You want the day.
The
Yeah.
number.
So it's
Oh.
November, February, and June. Those are the 3 months.
Is it the 24th?
That is correct. Ding, ding, ding. Woo! All right. Very
Nailed it.
good.
That's what happens when I listened to that book this morning.
Oh, yeah, because all you need to do is just hear one of them. And
I
I
know.
only remembered the first task, but it was interesting as I was flipping through my notes flipping through the book to take notes for this. I saw that the second task was also on the 24th, and I thought, wait a minute, is the third one too? And so there you go. Good job, Stephanie. So that means I got 2 correct. Listeners, the world got 1.5 correct, which means the final score is I win by 3 points. Yay! Reparo. Future Barry here. Past Barry may know Potter, but he does not know math. He did not win by 3 points. He won by 1.5. So half that, Barry. But hey, a win's a win, everybody. Good job, Past Barry. Proud of you.
Well done. This is,
I love it.
Bravo.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. I love the excitement in the room. I love the energy. honestly, we can end the episode now. You've served your
Oh.
purpose. I'm just
Okay, great. This was a redemption story, and you've redeemed it, and so now we're done.
That's right. I hate it when the person that is redeemed is the one least deserving. It's like, have you seen the new Knives Out movie?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, here's the thing. I'm going to be severely punished next episode, listeners, because next I'm doing Book 4 Jeopardy, and I will be facing William from the Half-Blood podcast.
Good luck.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He's a
That's-
nightmare.
Live
You
it up
can't-
while you can.
You can't beat him. I watch some of their reels when they'll ask him, name every Polyjuice transfiguration. He rattles them all off. Name every password to every common room. Rattles them all off. So you're going down, William.
Okay, that's the energy.
That's
That's the vibe.
That's right. Well, now, listeners, we need to ask you your question for this week because I don't have last week's question. I need to go back. Future Barry will come back in and say it right here. Hello, Future Barry here. And honestly, Past Barry, you're getting lazy, all right? Starting to tick me off with all the extra work you're making me do. But last week's Quizzitch question was Hagrid and Madame Maxime were seen together twice in the very last chapter of Goblet of Fire. And in the first instance, they're seen in the Great Hall together. Your question last week was, what was the second instance that they were seen together? That's my baby back there. But the second time that they were seen together was, drumroll please, they were seen together outside of the Great Hall with Hagrid helping her to hitch the horses to the chariot, the Beauxbatons chariot. All right. And that's your question from last week. Thank you, Future Barry. If you got that right, congratulations. If you got it wrong, better luck next time. Next time being right now. Your question for this week, listeners, is, I had so many left over. Let's pick the worst one for them. We're going to go with, can you name me, dear listeners, my sweet, beautiful listeners, one item that is advertised during the Quidditch World Cup? Can you name me one item that is advertised during the Quidditch World Cup? That's your question for this week. For bonus points, I had another one waiting in the wings was, there is a Niffler competition. Whose Niffler digs up the most gold? Which person's Niffler digs up the most gold? Answer those two questions and you'll get a virtual high five. But yeah, did you know it, Stephanie?
Yeah, it's
Beep. Did you know that too, Julian?
Yeah, that one I did know.
Oh, I should ask that one.
That one I did know. Yeah, but you're too busy thinking too much of my expertise.
That's right. That's right.
I need softballs every time.
I love being overestimated. It's the best. Overestimated and not put to the test. That's my favorite. But now, listeners, let's move on to my favorite part of our best of episode. It is our top 5 favorite lines from this particular book. And so I love this part so much because, at the end of every single chapter coverage, we do our favorite lines. Lines, we read, these words are powerful, they're magical, they carry incredible strength and weight to them. These are things that just stick with you, that make us laugh, make us smile, make us hurt. I love them so much. And that's why I always have this section in the best of episode to talk about those lines that kind of mean the most to us, whether they're stupid and goofy and kind of funny, or whether they're like incredibly powerful. So what we're going to do, we're going to go in around. I'll start with my number 5, then we'll go to Julian, and then we'll go to Stephanie, and we'll keep going one by one. And then when we get to our number 1, we're going to stop, do honorable mentions, and then we'll say our number 1. So my number 5 favorite line, I got to pull it up because I was stupid and didn't do that beforehand. Here it is. My number 5 favorite line, it's actually from my chapter with Stephanie way back from
when.
Yeah, from the chapter The Invitation, which is chapter 3. And it's right after Harry finds out that he's going to go to the Quidditch World Cup and he's having just fun messing with everybody. And Dudley is on a diet. Dudley's not able to eat as much as he wants. They're training him, I guess. I don't know, but they're only giving him half of a date or half of whatever it was. And
a grapefruit.
Grapefruit. That's right.
Why can you ask me these questions, Barry? Jeez.
And I love, Harry says to Dudley, Outside in the hall, he nearly ran into Dudley, who had been lurking behind the door, clearly hoping to overhear Harry being told off. He looked shocked to see the broad grin on Harry's face. "That was an excellent breakfast, wasn't it?" said Harry. "I feel really full, don't you?"
Don't you? Yeah.
I love that. That's so
Gosh.
silly and funny to me, as it's just clever writing that you would laugh at when you see it in a sitcom. And it's just, I kind of strive to have that type of humor in my daily life. And that sassy Harry, we love it so much. So a funny one is what I'm starting off with. That's my number 5. But yeah.
Is Percy wouldn't notice a joke if it danced naked in front of him wearing one of Dobby's tea cozies.
Yes.
Very good.
Iconic.
I almost wrote that one down.
It's so good. It's so good and it's so right. And you know, I love this moment in the books, namely because I like that, like, Percy is still, he hasn't quite done what we know Percy will do.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't feel like making fun of him doesn't feel so charged. It's still
Yeah.
just kind of poking fun at him and
It's
like how
like we were talking
serious
about
he
before,
is.
the brotherly sass. you know.
Exactly.
Very good. Stephanie, what's your number 5?
So when Harry runs into Rita Skeeter in the Three Broomsticks after her article about Hagrid comes out, and she asks Harry to join her, and he says, "I wouldn't come near you with a 10-foot broomstick."
Iconic.
Yes,
Incredible.
that was.
Harry's lines to her are so funny. Like the one where,
I know.
"You have a word? I do. Goodbye."
Goodbye.
Oh, very good. I like that we all went with a funny one to start off.
Mhm.
That's good. And I haven't had this happen before. My number 4 favorite line is from the same chapter, literally just 2 pages before, because this one to me, when I think of book 4, this is one of the ones that pops out right away. It's one of the ones I remember the most. But it's when Harry asks Uncle Vernon if he can go to the Weasleys for the Quidditch World Cup. A slight spasm crossed Uncle Vernon's large purple face. The mustache bristled. Harry thought he knew what was going on behind the mustache. A furious battle as 2 of Uncle Vernon's most fundamental instincts came into conflict. Allowing Harry to go would make Harry happy, something Uncle Vernon had struggled against for 13 years. On the other hand, allowing Harry to disappear to the Weasleys for the rest of the summer would get rid of him for 2 weeks earlier than anyone could have hoped, and Uncle Vernon hated having Harry in the house. I love that. That's just so funny to me. We talked about win-wins before. This is lose-lose for Uncle Vernon. He's like, I get this or this. Which one do I want most, to punish him or to reward myself? That's how you know you hate somebody, when, you're struggling with allowing them to do a good thing, even if it makes you happy, because you don't want them to experience joy. So that was mine, because I enjoyed how humorous that one was as well. That's my number 4. Julian, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is, just because it's taken you 3 years to notice Ron doesn't mean no one else has spotted I'm a girl.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that moment because I think it is so fascinating to, like, experience Hermione for 3 years. And as a reader, like, okay, Alex, she's the girl in the group. And then you see Ron in this moment. And part of the reason why he recognizes it is because he himself hasn't been able to get a date. And like, he's going into this like really weirdly desperate place. And I just love that she's like, dude, just because you're stupid doesn't mean that other people are. And actually, like, I've got a date and so this is not my business anymore. And I love that she recognizes that, and also calls him out on the fact that she herself has noticed this dynamic in their relationship in a way that he doesn't. And then he spends the rest of like the Yule Ball arc kind of struggling with the reality that other people have found her to be not only a girl, but like an attractive, worth saving like person, which I think is so far beyond the way that he has at least explicitly thought about her.
Yeah. I like that moment a lot too, because it's almost, book 4 in so many ways, it's the turning point. It's the changing book of the series. And, later in book 6, there's the abstinence password. That's how charged book 6 is. Book 5, somewhat similar. But yeah, I think of like the glass shattering kind of motif of like glass shatters. And you normally when the glass shatters, you recognize something bad. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, this has been the case all along. But for Ron, this was a glass shattering to recognize something pretty cool. It's like, whoa, one of my best friends is a really cool, attractive person of the opposite sex that I might be interested in. And like you said, now he has to deal with all of that as the rest of the series goes forward. So I like that line a lot too. Stephanie, what's your number 4?
I've also got a Hermione.
Yeah.
So when Ron is heckling her about who asked her to the ball, and Malfoy walks by and says, "You're joking, Weasley. You're not telling me someone asked that to the ball." And Hermione responded with, "Twitchy little ferret, aren't you, Malfoy?"
I love it.
And it's like, pop off, Queen. Yes.
Literally, especially because it comes right that moment right before that when she's like, "Oh, hi, Professor Moody," and he like whips
Yeah.
around, and
Mhm.
it's like, good for you, like way to land it. Like you punched him the year before, and now you've done this. Like you're eating, and that's amazing.
Yep.
Hermione is so good at handling, like, if Harry had her ability to handle fame and attention, he would have been
Yeah.
much better off in the first few books when all those eyes were on him. Because she just keeps saying to him throughout this book too, when the article comes out about them, ignore it. It's not a big deal. Be secure in yourself. I am. You can be too.
Yeah,
and
I think
just-
Harry's just not used to not being liked. I think like the
Mhm.
attention doesn't. It messes with him, but I think that there's a way that like when it's the right kind of attention, he can kind of navigate it a little bit. But once it turns the tide, he really struggles with like people not liking him. So we see that in these moments, and then we see it for the entirety of book 5, where he just is really struggling.
I'm a people pleaser. I need
Yeah.
them to like
I
me.
need them to like me. And yeah, and it's the first time in his life, like this moment, this like his experience in the wizarding world where like he is liked and like
Mhm.
revered. And I feel like it means more to him than he lets on. And so that
Yeah.
when he loses it, he kind of freaks out a little bit because
Yeah,
he's
like, this is my safe place. I want to
this-
protect it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean something here. And so I don't want that to go away, because then it will feel very much like the space that I've been running from and trying to get away from.
Yeah. And I liked, Stephanie, I thought you were going to say that one because I saw your post the other day when you said like,
Yeah.
twitchy little ferret, hallelujah. Like,
Mhm.
Love.
was it?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Oh, my number 3 is from chapter 24, Rita Skeeter's Scoop. And it's when the trio is inside of Hagrid's hut. And as always, it's hard to have a top 5 list without a Dumbledore quote. I love this one. Hagrid has said, like, or Dumbledore is encouraging Hagrid, "Hey, I've had plenty of parents write to me and say they'd be very upset if I fired you." And Hagrid goes, "Well, there are other parents who think otherwise, that want me gone." And Dumbledore says, "Really, Hagrid, if you are holding out for universal popularity, I'm afraid you will be in this cabin for a very long time. Not a week has passed since I became headmaster of this school when I haven't had at least one owl complaining about the way I run it. But what should I do? Barricade myself in my study and refuse to talk to anybody?" So I enjoyed it's such good advice. One of the things I was struck with as I moved through this book was the life advice in this one particularly. And that has a lot to do with my number 1 favorite, slight spoiler. But yeah, I loved that moment from Dumbledore. And it's also very humorous afterwards when he says, he also applies that lesson to his brother Aberforth. And he says, "And what did Aberforth do when they wrote that article about him and the goat? He didn't let him get it. He didn't let that get him down." Of course, he can't read, so I don't know if it would have, but
Shady.
I have questions about that one too. Like, what do you mean?
don't ask those questions.
It's
all
just
right? Stop
better.
it, Stephanie.
Have
Stop it.
So shady.
But that's my number 3. Julian, what about you?
My number 3 is it's not too oh no. This is before the moment that Stephanie brought up, but it's I want to fix that in my memory forever. Draco Malfoy, the amazing bouncing ferret.
Yes.
Yes.
Incredible. Iconic.
That's very funny.
I love
Yeah.
that moment. It's another moment where we get to see Ron kind of like relish in something, and everyone is loving it, but definitely him. And I think, you know, for all of the teasing that Draco gives to Hermione, he also does a lot to Ron as well, and I think there's something very beautiful about him having to be getting that moment and seeing it and just being like, I need that. I always need to remember this.
Mm-hmm. I liked how sometimes he's not, but I do like how surface level Ron can be in that he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve and I'm just enjoying things for what they are. And that was something to be enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephanie, what's your number 3?
Okay, so when Harry falls asleep in the library trying to figure out how to breathe underwater, and Dobby comes in to save the day with the gillyweed, and he says, "You have to find your Wheezy." And
Oh,
Harry says, "What's a Wheezy?" I think I think when they did the full cast audio, being able to hear that articulated by the voice actor, it just sent me. I listened to it over and over and over again. Like, you
very
need to
cool.
find your Wheezy, sir. It's
I'll
so funny.
Yeah, I always think of Corey now. Anytime I hear that,
Yeah.
Wheezy the Red,
Wheezy
listeners,
the
if he's
Red,
been on
yeah.
this pod before. I even made when we covered that chapter, I made we went on like a tangent talking about her, and I made a reel out of that. But I'd already posted like 10 reels that week, and I thought I'm just going to keep this one for now. But shout out Corey, she's wonderful, and yes, you need to find your Wheezy,
Mhm.
Very good. My number 2. Oh, we're getting close to the end of this one. My number 2, it comes from chapter 32, Flesh, Blood, and Bone. A short chapter, but one full of good lines. And it's right after Cedric's death. So, not to bring the vibe down,
We're
but
Say,
going.
ooh.
but this is, I just love the writing and how powerful this one is. Cedric was lying spread eagle on the ground beside him. He was dead. For a second that contained an eternity, Harry stared into Cedric's face, at his open gray eyes, blank and expressionless as the windows of a deserted house, at his half-open mouth, which looked slightly surprised. And then before Harry's mind had accepted what he was seeing, before he could feel anything but numb disbelief, he felt himself being pulled to his feet. Yeah, absolutely depressing, heartbreaking, but there's so many incredible components about that. Like I love before that takes place, Harry's looking at him or he has his eyes closed and he doesn't even watch Cedric die. He sees the flash of green through his eyelids. And he's like, please don't let this be what I think it is. Opens up and he sees Cedric on the ground next to him. The imagery, like just the wordsmithing at that beginning, the second that contained an eternity, or eyes that looked like windows of a deserted house, because that's what a Vada Kedavra does. It rips the soul from the body. So that's not Cedric anymore. And then before he could like even react to it, just being pulled back into the next thing, pulled into reality of he doesn't even have time to sit with this grief to process this. It's just look at this now, boom, on like you don't have time. You got to keep moving. So I love the reality there and the hurt there. It's so good. Love that line.
Yeah, and it's just like I mean, this is the moment, right, that Harry sees death for the first time and really like understands, and like in no uncertain terms, this kind of how um visceral it is, and in the midst of kind of being so discombobulated from the portkey and all the things. And so there's a way that I think the way that it's written is so heartbreaking, because Harry pays very little attention to those kinds of details on any given day, right? Like he's kind of, I won't say he's aloof, but he's kind of just kind of vibing through life. And he's 14. And so then for this moment to be a moment where we get such stark detail of what he's seeing, it really just is such a striking juxtaposition to how we normally see him, because he normally is kind of like, I didn't notice any of that. And so it's really sad that this is the moment.
It's like when people say after they lose somebody, I'll never get to hear their laugh again. I'll never get to see the twinkle in their eye again. And so like those small little details is kind of what he's catching on to in that moment.
Yeah.
Not to get too tonal shift, but I did see, Julian, on your story, I think it was a story or post the other day. I never even caught this before, but in movie 5, when Harry and Cho kiss, it's in front of that picture of Cedric.
I had never noticed it. And I was sitting there and I was like, wait a minute. This is messy. This is a mess. Like we couldn't have like gotten something to, you're just making out in front. Okay, well,
Yeah.
all
But
right.
what was funny about that was like, I could tell because it wasn't like a picture you pulled from online. That was like you took a picture of your TV
Of the
and put
screen.
that up there.
Yeah.
So it was like he just caught that in that moment.
And I had never, I think most of the time I'm like closing my eyes because that moment's so awkward and I get very bad secondhand embarrassment. And so I rarely paid it that much attention to it. And then this time around, I was in a hotel and I was watching it and I was like, is that?
Isn't that
Oh no, this is how terrible.
Edward?
Edward, is that you? We couldn't have taken, I mean, not to mention all of the other people, the picture of the order that's also up on the wall in the movie. And I'm like, y'all, we could have picked a better place.
Yeah. There's this is gonna, you know what? We'll see if I edit this part out or not. But in mine and my wife's bedroom, when sometimes to set a mood, listeners, I'll turn on YouTube and I'll put on the like one of the thunderstorm fireplace things.
Yeah.
It's a nice vibe. All right. We get a little romantic. But when I first turn on YouTube, you see the family profiles. And I always just see her dad's face staring at me going, like, he has the straightest, most like somber face, just looking into the screen. And anytime I pull it up, I'm like, she needs to be in the bathroom while I'm getting this ready. She can't. That's weird.
That's truly unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway, Julian, what's your number 2?
My number 2 comes from, it's not my favorite chapter, but it's my second favorite chapter. I don't remember the number, but it's Padfoot Returns.
Very good.
I love when Sirius comes back. There's just something about his return that feels so comforting in that moment, I think. Like, it's just like, oh, and then we get to leave Hogwarts and go to this cave. I think I just like the bit of world building that happens in that. But the line is, if you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. And I love that line because I think it's so true. It's also ironic that it comes from Sirius, who is not kind to Creature, and the implications of that play a big part in many things, including Sirius's demise, right? And I think that there's a way that like that juxtaposition is interesting to me because it is it highlights how like short-sighted we can be in a lot of ways about the ways that we also perpetuate many of the things that we understand about the world. But I love that line because I do think it also is very clear. To me, it sums up so much of the way that the wizarding world operates, right? Because obviously, like, Sirius's treatment of Creature, Barty Crouch Sr.'s treatment of Winky, but then also Voldemort's treatment of Creature, right? And the fact that he didn't recognize how powerful house elves were, and that is the thing that ultimately leads to his demise. And so it's like, right, the way that you treat the people who you believe are beneath you. And we see the magical implications of that, like in the way that the cave is set up and all of these things. And that is one of the big things that leads to Voldemort's downfall. And so I think it is a really, really, really prescient line insofar that it teaches us a lot about how the magical world operates, and in no uncertain terms. And I think it just, I don't know, it sums up a lot of things for me.
Yeah. I like that line a lot too. And I was thinking about it during this book because, I do think that Sirius is he's a good guy. He's a reputable guy, but also we're all hypocrites. Like every single one of us, whatever great piece of advice you can give to somebody, whatever like rule you say you live by, you're probably breaking it sometimes. And it's good to like have those, I don't know, maybe every once in a while go back to your best quotes and your best teachings and lessons that you've learned and just reflect on it and be like, wait a minute, am I actually living that out myself? This thing that I teach?
Yeah.
Because we're all going to fail sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes the lessons come from experience. And so it's like,
Mhm.
I'm saying this because I already did it. And sometimes it's coming because it sounds good on paper, but not in practice. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and so there's a way that, yeah. And I think, you know, to Sirius's credit, because I know that there will probably be some serious defenders, right? Like, obviously, Creature, he's very traumatized and he's
Mhm.
in an outrageous state of arrested development for a number of reasons. And so, like, it would make sense as to why Creature in particular would be a blind spot for him because of all the things that he kind of brings up for Sirius. But I do think it is interesting because I think that there's a way that, you know, it's quite a question of like how trauma can also make you blind to your own kind of biases and things, which I think is also true for a lot of things that happen in the magical world.
Yeah. Anyway, Stephanie, what's your
Yes.
number 2?
I'm gonna bring the mood back up a little bit. Um, in chapter 7, Archie and his flowery
Heck yeah.
dress.
Love it.
I like a healthy breeze around my private stinks. It's gold.
Thank you so much, Archie.
That is an iconic
Yes,
line. You know what?
I
Go ahead.
yeah, I vocal stim that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Thank you.
actually when Julian and I did our episode, he asked me that question. I
Mm.
unfortunately did not know the answer. However, I got away with it because he technically wasn't allowed to ask that question because it was the next chapter. And he was like, oh, shoot, I went
Uh,
ahead. And so I'm kind of glad he didn't ask me that again because I couldn't remember that it was Archie. Like when you said it just now, I thought, would I have gotten that? No, I would not have gotten that.
Archie is an icon.
He is an icon and a
Mhm.
legend in his own right. And I love him so much. And yeah, that's an amazing line.
I mean, he is holding on to that dress with conviction. I bought it in a muggle shop. It's correct. I'm gonna wear it.
It's what they do.
and,
Yeah.
and who are you to tell me that it's not?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
like who are you to like we wear cloaks for goodness sake. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
let's be so for real. Like what's the difference between a cloak and a dress, honestly?
Oh, to me, he gives the same type of vibes as the um, ministry worker in book 6 that goes to um, the Gaunt residence in the Pensieve.
Oh, Bob
You know,
Yeah.
Ogden.
Bob Og, because he's like
Yep.
wearing a one-piece bathing suit that's black and
Yeah.
white striped. So
Incredible.
They're
maybe
doing their best.
Wizards are
Whatever
doing
it
their best.
takes.
That's right. So now moving on, listeners, before we get to our number 1, we're going to shout out our honorable mentions. This is always very difficult for me. I had so many. I had a list of I went through like the whole book and wrote down my absolute most favorites. And I had like 30 and I had to cut it down. So for honorable mentions, I'm just going to say 3. I only have 3 honorable mentions. One of them is in chapter 37, the beginning, the very ending of the book. Clever how that works. Dumbledore speaking to the school, and he says, "It is my belief, however, that the truth is generally preferable to lies, and that any attempt to pretend that Cedric died as the result of an accident or some sort of blunder of his own, is an insult to his memory." I love that so much for 2 reasons. One is the cool line at the cool first half of truth being preferable to lies. Always. Truth will out. Amazing stuff. And then the other part of like, by lying, you're actually besmirching Cedric's character. Like he was a strong wizard. He was a good student and a good person. And to say, oh, it was just an accident, that's like a car crash. A car crash killed Lily and James Potter. That's an outrage. And in the same way, no, Cedric would not have died from a scroot, from one of those things. No, it wouldn't have happened. So that's one of my honorable mentions. Another one is, again, always with the Dumbledore quotes from just the previous chapter 36. "If I thought I could help you," Dumbledore said gently, "by putting you into an enchanted sleep and allowing you to postpone the moment when you had to think about what has happened tonight, I would do it. But I know better. Numbing the pain for a while will make it worse when you finally feel it." Ah, like
Yep.
that's not just burying things, but working through the pain. Whenever
Mhm.
something tragic happens. I understand too, because I want to add the caveat of sometimes you do need a reprieve. Sometimes you do need to sit back and let things settle and not immediately dive back in. So I'm not saying the answer is always, hey, right away, recount what happens. But it is a good lesson to work through what you've been through. I like that.
And Dumbledore knows that,
Mhm.
like, intimately, right? And there's a way that I think, again, this is one of those moments where you give advice that you are that you've learned by virtue of your own life experiences, and it feels like this is one of those moments where he definitely is doing that, right? Where he
Absolutely.
definitely is, yeah.
And my last honorable mention, it's a silly one. It's weird because I feel like literarily it does not deserve to be amongst all the lines we've just said, but I just thought it was funny, and it's one of when I remember book 4, it's one of the lines that first pops into my head. But in chapter 19, the Hungarian Horde Tale, um, Harry's angry at Ron for coming down the stairs and ruining his conversation with Sirius. And he says, "Just thought you'd come nosing around, did you?" Harry shouted. He knew that Ron had no idea what he walked in on, knew he hadn't done it on purpose, but he didn't care. At this moment, he hated everything about Ron, right down to the several inches of bare ankle showing beneath his pajama trousers. Whoo! I like the self-awareness in the first part, but just the intense hatred and emotion in the final, just to go, even down to his ankles, even down to that's a burn. Like, I hate you. I hate your shoes. I hate that little bit of ankle showing right there. That too. That's ugly. Like, he's going in on Ron. So that was my last honorable mention. Julian, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I have two. One is funny, and one is, well, I guess it's not funny, but it's more on the serious side. The funny one is Percy when he goes, that was a sample of fertilizer from Norway. When Fred and George are have been sending him dung and
Mhm.
leaving it in his mailbox, and he's like, it was nothing personal, and they go, yes, it was, because we sent it, and it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant. I love it so much. And then my my other honorable mention was just constant vigilance, which
Mm.
feels like it's both like an insane thing to just say to a bunch of kids, but it's also so real, and it becomes kind of like a call to action in the next book when they are all like making Dumbledore's army and doing all this stuff,
Mhm.
and like the necessity to be so vigilant, I think, is something that sticks with them, even though it came from a psychopath. It still is good advice,
Yeah.
despite, so it's like very conflicting, because it's like, well, the person tried to kill you, but he wasn't wrong. And so
He's out of line,
he's
but
out
he's
of
got a
line.
point.
I don't know, friends. Maybe we should be vigilant, and I do. And so I really, that's a line from this book that I often keep with me, and I've been yelling very much as of late.
Is that a future tattoo, Stephanie? Constant
Ooh, that
vigilance?
would be a good one. That could
Maybe,
be.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but like on a little ribbon underneath the eye. I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
You said you were needing a second one. I'm just
I
saying.
do. I do need a second one.
I heard a cool theory. I was listening to Super Carlin Brothers, and because it's always bothered me. You know, they say Harry's cloak is the most incredible cloak ever. How is it then that Moody's eye can see through it? You know, because this cloak is supposed to be not the Horcrux, the Hollow
Hallow.
that is
Hmm.
incredible. And I liked the idea. Their theory was that perhaps Dumbledore made that eye with the Elder Wand, and that's because it's an item made by another Hallow. It's able to do that. I don't know. It seemed like the best explanation to me, so I enjoyed that. But anyway,
Interesting.
Stephanie, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, so you took your first one was one of mine.
Dang it! I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's fine. But I picked this one in chapter 28 when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are trying to figure out how Rita Skeeter is getting all of her information. And Ron says, "What's the betting that she, as in Hermione, comes back with a box of I hate Rita Skeeter badges?" And it's just so funny because it's something Hermione would do, and you don't see this in the movie at all. Hermione is feral when she gets fired up about something. So she did spew, or SPEW. but like her having I hate Rita Skeeter badges would definitely be something she would do, and I almost wish she had done it.
Mhm.
That would have been iconic. Yep.
Yeah, Farrell is right. Unhinged behavior, and they
And
really,
yeah.
yeah, and in fact, well, that I'm taking notes on that for the next section.
It's so funny to me because like with Hermione describing her as you did, I always think of that moment when Harry has the hug with Mrs. Weasley. That was almost a favorite line too, but just that I love it
You
so
just
much. And he's having one of the most beautiful emotional moments of his life. And then all of a sudden it's ruined by one of the most emotionally aware and mature characters in the room, but it's Hermione just, bah, I got the, got it. Was this not the time? I'm sorry.
We got to strike while the iron's hot. I love, love, love that moment with Molly. The moment in that entire situation when like the families and Cedric's like, come back, and Harry's like, did the Dursleys show up?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out to be, I cry every time.
Yes. Or even early on, before they even leave for Hogwarts, when she went to Diagon Alley to get their books, and she also mentions that she bought Harry's dress robes, and she bought him like an emerald one, and just the way the writing goes whenever she says something of like, I got you green, I thought it would bring out your eyes. And I forget the other verbiage in the text, but it is very motherly, and I love that for Harry.
Yeah.
But now, moving on, listeners, to our number one favorite line in all of the Goblet of Fire. I'm shocked because mine is a very simple line. It's one I'd never thought was epic or that incredible, but based on what I feel like the latter half of this book is teaching, I thought was incredible. And it's from chapter 37, the very end of it, the beginning, when Harry is at Hagrid's hut, and so this comes from Hagrid. Hagrid says to him, "You all right?" He said gruffly. "Yeah," said Harry. "No, you're not," said Hagrid. "Of course you're not, but you will be." I love that so much. Listen, I know I hate sometimes my reaction in this podcast is, I love that. I love that. But that right there, the whole final, like the last few chapters of this book is teaching you, even when things suck, even when things are terrible, keep moving. If you keep moving, it can get better. And to hear that from Hagrid of all people too, of, I love that simple wisdom. Oftentimes I love listening to psychiatrists and therapists and hearing how eloquently they phrase things. But something I've noticed is a lot of the fanciful things they say are just simple things in good language. Like they explain regular things that, like, I guess when you're healthy and functioning properly, that you kind of do instinctively, but they're able to put into words. And so I love that moment here with Hagrid of, no, you aren't okay. You're terrible, but it is going to be okay. Keep moving. Keep moving. Love that. So that's my number one favorite line from this whole book.
Yeah, I love that whole moment. I think that this is also the moment where he says something like, we'll have to, like, basically we'll just have to, whatever's going to be will be, and we'll meet it. Right.
Mhm.
And I love,
What's coming will come, and we'll meet it when it does.
yeah, I really do love that moment. And again, I love that it's Hagrid, because I think that, like, so much of this book is it kind of it feels like it happened before vibe. Like a lot of people are kind of invoking that, and that's kind of what is the impetus for Sirius coming back and all these things. It's this kind of feeling, and the idea of, like, we just have to, we've survived it and we'll do it again, and that's just kind of how this goes. I think that's just really good advice, especially for young people who are they're new to this. And so there's a way that you kind of have to coach them in that regard. And so I do love that moment. My favorite quote is from my favorite chapter. Well, so chapters 30 and 31 are my favorites. Like, I love when Voldemort comes back, or 30, 32 and 33 rather.
Mm-hmm.
I love when Voldemort comes back. It's diva. It's so diva. One of my listeners calls it his rebirth is when he got his body done. which I'm obsessed with as just like a concept of like him being some like housewife who's gone and gotten some work done and come back and is like new. I just love all of it. And I love his like soliloquy of explaining kind of what happened. Both because I think the writing is chef's kiss, but also because it's this very kind of desperate moment that he's experiencing, because he's like, I don't want you all to think that I'm not powerful. And I need you to fully understand that a lot of this goes beyond the scope of magic, even that you all will understand. And so he says, this is old magic. I should have remembered it. I was foolish to overlook it, but no matter, I can touch him now. And it's one of the only moments where Voldemort acknowledges that he doesn't know something and that he made a mistake. And I love that, because it's interesting, right? Like one of the things that they, say about, to reverse Horcruxes is like you have to have remorse. And he's not remorseful here, but he does acknowledge the fact that he really screwed up in his own understanding of magic and underestimated. I mean, in the subtext, it's like, I underestimated love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only time that we will ever hear him get even remotely close to that kind of acknowledgement. And for someone who is outrageously narcissistic and egomaniacal, it's such an fascinating thing for him to admit to his followers, and then for that to be the impetus that then motivates why he has it be, Harry's blood, which then ultimately leads to his downfall, right? Like it's such a chef's kiss moment, because it's like you acknowledge the things that you don't understand, but the reality is that you still truly don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your lack of understanding on multiple dimensions is the reason why you were ultimately vanquished later on in the first place. And so I love that line so much.
Yeah, it makes me think a little bit of in the first book when he's on the back of Quirrell's head and he says to him, I always admire bravery, talking about Harry's parents. It's like he's acknowledging something in the opponent. Like, your parents were brave, strong wizards, great, and they were awesome. Not as awesome as me, and even Voldemort in that moment, I should have remembered. But no matter, I have overcome it now. And that's like the issue is he wasn't more powerful than ancient magic of love, and he's still not. But because of this new development, because he got his body done, he thinks he is in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Stephanie, what's your number one?
The part where Miss Weasley hugs Harry and he says he has no memory of ever being hugged like this, as though by a mother. Like, as a mother, that just hits right in the gut, because it's like, if I ever felt like that, like, I can't even imagine. And you're talking about a 14-year-old that's never been hugged like that. And it's like, that's so sad to me. And it just breaks my heart. And I love that Miss Weasley sees him as her son, or like a type of son. Like, she cares for him the way a mother would. And I think he needs that. And just having it in Miss Weasley, even Mr. Weasley looking out for his well-being, but like her being there for him in that moment, to just give him the chance to be a kid amongst all the strife and the death and what he's facing. Like, it's just chef's kiss. Like, I'm so glad that part was there, because he needed that.
Yeah, and he almost like cries in that moment too. I think he says something
Yeah.
like letting out a howl against her chest or something like that. No, I'm so happy you said that moment, because I wanted to include it so bad. So thank you. That's such a beautiful moment. I almost cried reading it. Yeah, just incredible. So happy that like Harry gets to experience that. And it's also a reminder too, I guess, of you can be that for other people as well. Like, even if you don't have a sort of natural or given relationship with somebody, that doesn't mean you can't be fatherly or can't be motherly or brotherly or sisterly towards a person that you're not family with. So
yeah, I love it because it's such a chosen family vibe, right? Where it's like and what I love what I love most about it is that in many ways Harry kind of lacks the emotional depth to be able to do the choosing, but he was chosen, right, like the Weasleys choose him. They are like, no, like you are coming to us. Like even in the earlier part of this book, right, when they're like, well, if they say no, then we're still going to come get you. You know what I mean? Like there's just such a way of like, they're like, no, 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 you belong to us. Like you are ours, and we are going to take care of you the way that we take care of everyone. And there's just like such a beauty to that, because I think Harry is so like he just, I feel like he has an issue with like feeling like he deserves it, because he just simply doesn't understand it.
Mhm.
And he's so concerned and so obsessed with the idea of family. And one of the big things that kind of annoys me about Harry sometimes is I'm like, I think you kind of you missed the point of the Weasleys in a lot of ways. I think you kind of take for granted how much they actually care for you. And I think this is a moment where he kind of gets a piece of it when when Molly does
Mhm.
that, and it's like without him having to say anything, she just gets it and she's there in such a beautiful way.
That was beautiful, Julian. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for listening this week, listeners. This is the part of the episode where we will end our part 1 of our Best of Book 4 coverage. Come back next week for part 2, where we will talk about our favorite characters, our favorite chapters, our favorite magical spells and items, and a whole bunch of more for Book 4. But once again, thank you for listening this week. Appreciate it so much. If you want to support this podcast, please check out the Patreon for exclusive content, or just share it with a friend of yours. Give it a like, a review, all that good stuff. But love you guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to Retold. Artwork for this podcast was created by Rachel Ortlip. Music was created by Taylor Jarvis. And the Retold podcast is produced by me. That's right. I made this.